think. I'm not sure if it's live. Let me just make sure it's recording, just in case. Yeah, I'm not sure if it is live, but we'll just go as if it is.
Okay.
Then we just have to share recording. So, hello and welcome to the new Make More Placement series. Just wanted to do a quick video for you, really talking about what we call the 3 pillars of a high billing recruitment or search promoter. So one of the things that we found is that you can get a recruitment search promoter who, a solo recruitment search promoter who does 400,000, 500,000, 600,000 per year or more, and then you can get a recruiter with a team of 3 or 4 people who does the same revenue, right? So we wanted to basically do a quick video explaining some of the sort of the key things or key differences that we've found between the two, right? So obviously, or presumably, if you own a business, you want the revenue and the profits to be as high as possible for the least amount of work. So we're going to be looking at some of the, I guess, commonalities that we've found working with recruitment and search promoters from all over the world who have, these commonalities that make them high billing fee earners. So anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just in summary, what's the difference that makes a difference between a solo recruiter and, doing, as Drew said, anything between sort of 400,000 and 600,000, which is UK sterling. So anything between 500,000 and 700,000-800,000 as a solo recruiter. And as Drew rightly said, and then we talked to other recruitment business owners, and they've got a team, and they're doing the same number. And ultimately, however you look at this, your role as an owner or director is to make as much profit as possible. So clearly, the solo recruiter doing those kind of numbers is a lot more profitable if they're doing, let's say, 600 on their own than the recruitment or search business owner that's doing, let's say, 700 with a team of 3. And
yeah,
so we get asked this all the time. What's the difference that makes a difference? And why is it that some guys are doing this? And this is what this is all about. Just to share with you kind of the 3 pillars as to how these solo recruiters do just that.
Yeah, and I think when people reach out to us for help growing their recruitment search business, and they want to sort of build more, the assumption usually is that it's about the tactics they're using or a skill they haven't got. And although the tactics you use to grow your business, the skill you use to grow your business are very important to your overall billings. What sort of goes beneath that is almost like the foundations is the strategy, the overall strategy or overall business model that you use. And there's very sort of big differences between, I guess, the potential growth you can have if you've picked the wrong business model or business strategy versus if you pick the right one. So we're going to sort of be exploring a few of those today. So the first sort of critical aspect you need, or critical pillar you need, is your ability to develop consistent opportunities with hiring managers in your market, right? So depending on how you sell your services, whether it's over the phone, face to face, whatever, all things being equal, the more meetings, the more opportunities you can have with hiring managers in your market, the more sales you make, right? So I don't know how many hiring managers you've spoken to in the last month about your services, but let's say it's 10. If we can increase that to 20 or 30, your, all things being equal, your sales would increase with that. So what we found is that the top billing recruitment search managers, they have not only a way to get in front of hiring managers in the market and increase that, it's consistent as well. So what you find with businesses that struggle, businesses that have sort of experienced feast and famine, is they might have a way of getting in front of hiring managers, but it's not consistent. So some months it works really well, some months it doesn't work at all, and they find their income going up and down. Whereas recruiters who bill consistently have a consistent process for doing this. So every month they can almost guarantee they're going to speak to a set number of hiring managers in their market. And obviously, the more opportunities that you generate, the more sales that you make. So anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, I just want to go back to what you said earlier, and you talked about the assumptions that people make, and if it's a solo recruiter who's doing 500,000 and the team's doing the same number with 3 or 4 people, and you talked to them about tactics and skills. I think one of the other assumptions, just going back on what we said earlier, is that a lot of owners believe that to grow their business, they need to build a team. This assumption. Well, what I want to do, Terry, is I'm going to bring in more consultants to come and join me, come and work for me, and we'll be more profitable, and we'll make it. And it's a common assumption. But as you can see, if a seller recruiter is doing 500,000, and you've got 3 in your team, you're doing 500,000, you may want to look at that. So that's I just want to add to that other assumption. And I think you raised a really good point there about consistency, because it is about consistency. And here's a question worth asking yourself is, what would it mean to you as an owner, be you a solo or with a team, if you had a consistent method for getting in front of hiring managers who are in the market for what you do? Because I don't know what you do. I think we both agree that the majority of recruitment and search business owners that we speak to, one thing they have got, they're very good communicators, and they're able to explain what they do in a very good way. Their challenge is that they're not able to get in front of hiring managers to have those kind of conversations. But if only they could, well, quite frankly, their sales would skyrocket. In my experience, that would be pretty fair to say, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I think look at any business really. If you could increase the number of opportunities that you create, the opportunity, if we're talking recruitment specific, the number of hiring managers that you speak to, your revenue will significantly increase. And I think this is sort of the 3 pillars, is the one that people find most difficult.
Yeah.
The one where people sort of spend a lot of their time and attention, but never quite sort of manage to do it. And again, with this, it's not. There's some people that do it using cold calling, some people that do it using email. It doesn't matter what tactics you use to do it, as long as you have a consistent way of getting in front of hiring managers, you have an actual need for what you do. If you can't do that, no matter how good you are at selling, no matter how good you are at recruitment, you'll always struggle, quite frankly. So it's sort of the one of the sort of key pillars. Just moving on to the next, the second of the 3. Is, so number 1 is ability to develop opportunities. The second one is the ability to sell your services at a higher fee. So I think we gave the example the other day. If you're let's say you're a perm recruiter and your average placement fee is 10,000 versus let's say there's another recruiter whose average placement fee is 30,000. And for you to generate the same revenue as them, you need to make 3 times as many placements, which means you need to generate 3 times as, all things being equal, 3 times as many opportunities, right? So, sort of a key shift that you can make is, constantly thinking, how can I charge more for what I do currently? How can I get a higher fee than for what I do currently? Terry, does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense, yeah.
And ultimately there's 2 ways you can do that. You can either, increase your fees, increase the percentage that you charge now, or the other way is to move up the food chain. So depending on what level you recruit at now, if we can sort of move up the food chain, so even if you keep your percentage the same, if you're recruiting at a higher salary, you'll obviously get paid more for what you do. And again, I think the key thing is when you do this, when you're constantly looking for ways to move up the food chain or charge a higher fee, the higher you go, it means you have to develop less opportunities. So if you're finding now that you're constantly looking around for new clients, new business, at your current average salary or average fee, when you increase that, as I said, increase by 3 times. Again, it sounds like a big jump, but just for the sake of this video or this audio, you now need to develop 3 times less opportunities. So anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think there's this, again, we're covering a lot of perceptions and myths and assumptions. And one of the assumptions for a lot of recruiters is that, if I recruit at the lower level, it's actually easier. And I think that's one of the biggest myths going. All the evidence suggests that the more senior that you recruit at, it's actually easier at the more senior level. Whatever your opinion, by the way, here's something worth considering. Whether you're recruiting and you're getting a fee of 3,000 or you're getting a fee of 30,000, it's the same amount of work. So we're not saying that you're going to do less work. We're not saying that at all. But would it not be better to be spending, let's say it takes you 20 hours to fill one role, would it not be better to spend 20 hours and getting a fee of 30,000 rather than spending 20 hours to get a fee of 30,000. And by the way, those hours, that's not precise, but you get the point I'm making. You're going to spend the same amount of time. So, you know, we need to spend to get the maximum return on that time. Because ultimately, what you ought to consider, we can replace time. Sorry, we can replace money. If you want more money, we know how to replace it. You lose a consultant, you kind of know how to replace a consultant. The thing with time is it can't be replaced. We all get 86,400 seconds a day, every day. And once it's gone, it's gone. So surely it's beneficial to you to make the maximum use of that time. 86,400, and that's it. It's gone. And you can never, ever replace it. So make the ultimate and the maximum and best use of that time.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, first one is, you know, your ability to develop opportunities. The next one is your ability to, you know, charge more for what you do. The other thing is, you know, the third and final pillar is the conditions that you create yourself to recruit in, right? So what we mean by that is, you know, in order for you to increase your billings, and this can go for you if you're a solo recruiter or if you've got a team, in order for your team or you as an individual to increase your billings, one of the key factors to that is you need to give yourself the best possible chance of filling a role and being paid, right? And that sounds obvious, right? But what we find is very few recruiters spend any time at all working on their fill rate, right? So especially contingency recruiters, if you're like the typical perm contingency recruiter, and you know, for every 10 job orders that you win, you only fill 3 of them, so you've got a fill rate of 30%. Anything that we can do to increase that to, you know, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80%, anything we can do to sort of push those numbers up gives you the best chance of being paid, right? To check in, Terry, does that make sense? Sorry, I've lost. I don't know if you can hear me, Terry, but I've lost your audio.
Okay, so my apologies. Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was saying it makes perfect sense, and the terminology that you use there of conditions, and it's really about getting the best possible conditions for you as a recruiter. And as Drew rightly pointed out, you know, if you're a contingent recruiter, most of the job orders that you work on, you're not going to fill most of the time. Now that's compounded then if you've got a team, because if you've only got a team of say 2 or 3, it means most of the time you're paying for your consultants for the work that they're doing, and they're not going to get paid for it. And I come back to this thing again about, you know, there's a limited amount of time. And so you're not only are they wasting the time, but they're also wasting your money as well, because you're paying them, because most of the contingency job orders they get, they're not going to fill. It's, you know, I think it's absolutely crazy that goes on, but it does. But you can do, the good news is you can do something about it.
Yeah, and I think
conditions.
Yeah, and I think, you know, one of the conditions that you need to work on, again, this is gets more specific to contingency recruiters, is if you find yourself working on job orders where you're competing with multiple other firms, right? So 3, 4, it doesn't matter how many, multiple other firms. You know, right from the outset, the fact that that's happening, you've significantly decreased your chance of filling that role, right? You're competing straight away against the clock with these other agencies, and you know, so whoever gets the candidate there first wins, right? And unless you get a head start on those people, you know, the odds are stacked against you from day one. And usually what happens is you're not the first recruiter to start work on it. You're, you know, 3rd, 4th, 5th, or even worse, right? So the odds are stacked against you right from day one. So you haven't given yourself the best possible chance of filling the role. This is why most contingency recruiters have a low fill rate. So what we want to do is, rather than competing with other recruiters, you want to transition from either, you know, an exclusive or retained model. So exclusive meaning it's just you working on that vacancy. You know, given you've created the conditions to give yourself time to find the best candidates for the role, and you're not competing against the clock. Or, you know, even better, you get it on a retained basis where, you know, not only have you given yourself time, but you're also getting paid a percentage up front, right? What we're finding with, and again, this isn't an exclusive list, as in like these aren't, it's not like you have to have these rules, but we're finding with the top billers, most of them have these three things in common, right? The ability to generate opportunities, ability to charge a higher fee, and they have a higher fill rate of the job orders they win. And part of the reason that is, part of the reason they have a higher fill rate is because they're either working on exclusive terms or retained terms, right? And that creates the environment, gives them the best possible chance of filling the role, right? So, three questions that we need to ask yourself is, how many meetings do you have per month with hiring managers, and how do you increase that? What's your fee currently, and how do you increase that? And three, what's your fill rate, and what can you do to increase that? If you constantly work on those three things, your billings will go up, both you as an individual, but also if you've got a team as well. So, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just in the conclusion. So we at the top of the call we talked about the solo recruiter that's doing £500,000 UK sterling, which is what, 650, 700,000 US. And and initially when clients first join us, they find it unbelievable, and they just can't believe it anybody can do that. Then they meet some of our clients who are solo recruiters who are doing that. And we talked about how you can do that. We talked about more opportunities. So let's look at a few things. A solo recruiter, some of our clients would have something like 8 to 10 meetings with decision makers every month. So they can do that on a regular and a consistent basis. When they speak to hiring managers, they're going to be talking about getting a fee of minimum of 20,000. They're only going to work on the retained basis. So they're going to say to the client, we only work on the retained basis. So they might speak to 8 to 12 clients. Some of those clients might say, we don't do retainers for whatever reason, that's fine. But they only need to get 2 retainers a month. 2 retainers a month at 20,000. They're now billing 40,000 a month. That's £500,000 a year. So because now the filling roles are at a more senior level. So if you think about it, if you're a contingent recruiter and you're working on lower fees, these guys are working substantially less than you and earning substantially more than you. And that's how they're doing it. And honestly, they're probably converting at 25, 30%. But they're doing that every month after month after month, because they've got a system in place so they can have regular meetings with hiring managers who are in the market for what they do. They will only work on the retained basis. So when they work, they get paid. So if you work on the retained basis, at the very least, you're going to get paid up front. That's worst case scenario. So you're not competing with another recruiter, and they'll work at a more senior level. It really is as simple as that. Doing those three things on a regular and consistent basis is how you can do it. Now, if you've got a team, here's a question maybe worth asking yourself. Well, if a solo recruiter can do that and you've got a team, what would that mean to your business then? If you've got 2, 3 guys in your business and each of you now are doing 400,000 to 600,000 a year every year, there's a dramatic shift in the revenue that you're generating and the value of your business, and ultimately what it means to you as the business owner.
Yeah. 100%. So yeah, again, just to summarize, like the higher your fee is, the fewer placements. Think about your revenue goals now, whatever they are. The higher your fee is, the fewer placements you need to work on to hit that revenue goal, or fewer placements you need to make to hit that revenue goal. The fewer placements you need to make in order to hit that revenue goal. That means, if you look at the example we gave, if you at the moment need to generate, you need to make 5 placements per month to hit your revenue goals. But when you increase your fee, you need to make 2 placements per month to hit your revenue goals. That obviously means that you need to develop less opportunities, right? You only need, as Terry said, you need to make 2 placements, right? So the marketing becomes easier. We don't need to develop that many opportunities anymore. Again, specifically for contingency recruiters, if you've got a problem where you've got the business, or you've got people with vacancies, you just can't find the candidates. Again, it's because you're working on. It could be anyway. One of the reasons could be you're working on too many roles. If rather than working on 10 roles to fill 3 of them, you just worked on 3, then the other remaining 7, that becomes your candidate pool, right? So it makes that part easier as well. Again, all of these things combined, doing all of these things, simultaneously, give you a better chance of filling the role, best chance of getting the fee you want, and ultimately a better chance of hitting your revenue goals. And it does it in a way that gives you back freedom, right? It does it in a way that you can be a high billing consultant or business owner without devoting your every ounce of your life free time to the business. You've still got that freedom because you've created it, you've made it easier for yourself.
Yeah. This is what it's all about. Ultimately, we want to make it as easy for you as possible to create the lifestyle that you desire and the money that you want to earn. This is what this is all about.
So listen, if you listen to this and you want to make more placements for higher fees, and you want to do it in a way that doesn't suck your energy or suck your time, so you get more freedom in the business, if you head over to makemoreplacements.com/apply, there's a short letter there that explains a bit more about how we might be able to help. So that's makemoreplacements.com/apply.
Excellent. Drew, thank you very much indeed. Until next time, folks, take care, take action, and be relentless. Cheers, folks.